Council meeting of the 17th of June 2026 open at 4:56. I remind all present that mobile phones must be switched off before the meeting and the meeting is being recorded and live streamed. Today for the acknowledgement, Councillor Champion has requested to do that, so far away. Wingecarribee Shire Council acknowledges the Gundungurra and Tharawal people as traditional custodians of this land. I pay my respects to the traditional custodians, their ancestors who care for this country for many thousands of years, and their elders and descendants who continue to care for country. I'd also like to extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders peoples, including those here today. We have no apologies and leave of absence. We now move to the minutes, confirming the minutes of the meeting held on the 20th of May 26. I will take these as read. Could I please get a seconder? Councillor Foley. I'll now put the motion. All those in favour? That is carried unanimously. Do we have any disclosures of interest? Councillor Foley.
I will be declaring a significant pecuniary interest in item 8.2.2, the results of the public exhibition of planning proposal Wingecarribee Community Heritage Study. Due to my home being listed as one of the new heritage items, and this may impact the value of my property, I'll be leaving the chamber for this item.
Thank you. Do we have any more? Councillor Ross.
I will be declaring a less than significant non-pecuniary interest in item 8.8.1 due to the fact that I live in Penrose and I was once a member of the Penrose Community Association, but I'm not at the moment, in relation to fees and charges.
Okay. Do we have any other disclosures of interest to make? Okay. We have two mayoral minutes. The first mayoral minute is being circulated by all councils in New South Wales. As people will be aware, the Code of Meeting Practice, the new one was rescinded, so we now have to reinstate the original one. Would anyone else like to speak to this? Councillor Moylan.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I move to make an amendment to the mayoral minute, if I may. And the wording is number 5. Council make the following amendments to the Code of Meeting Practice adopted on 19 February 2025 to be put on exhibition for 20 days Roman numeral 1, clause 3.1 be amended to quotation marks on the first and third Wednesday, etc., quotation marks, semicolon, Roman numeral 2, clause 10.22, replace quotation marks 3, the word 3, then in brackets the number 3, quotation marks with quotation marks 5, the word 5, in brackets the number 5, quotation mark, then colon, Roman numeral 3, thank you. Delete clauses 10.24 to 10.28. Full stop.
Okay, happy with that wording on the screen there? Sorry. Yeah, we'll do what we can. Thank you. Okay, Councillor Moylan, you happy with that wording?
We just need to, thank you.
Sorry, I'll just get some, if the gallery could just lower the volume, please. Are you happy with the wording?
Yes,
okay,
thank you.
Who moved this? Who moved this? Governance. Governance, just some advice on this, please.
Yeah, under the legislation, it's a minimum 42 days public exhibition for a code of meeting practice.
Okay, you happy to change the wording there? Of course, 1 minute, yes, okay. Okay, I'll seek a seconder for this, please. Councillor Russell, Councillor Moylan, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Councillors, the purpose of these changes is to, one, to make council meetings more frequent so that councillors have every opportunity to get through the material, which of course leads to better decision making. Now, this meeting we're here for today has this folder and this folder and this for us to read through, and we are looking at very important decisions for the community, impacting their household budget, impacting development, impacting heritage, impacting a lot of things. And as one of the speakers said, for us to be able to get through this material as councillors, we would have to spend 6 minutes per page without sleep over the 6 days. So quite frankly, it is near impossible to do this business paper justice and therefore do the community justice without meeting twice a month on so many occasions. Now, nextly, keeping the speaking time at 5 minutes obviously encourages debate, it encourages free speech, and it allows the councillors every opportunity to advocate for our 53,000 residents. When we're reduced to 3 minutes, and even in some other meetings, we know councillors have reduced speaking time to 30 seconds, we cannot discharge our role as councillors. Now, lastly, deleting the put to the vote clause, which has been routinely used to shut down debate, goes to integrity, and it goes to making sure that we're always encouraging debate and advocacy for our residents. Now, in the event that these changes aren't accepted, I do want to make a distinction, Mr Mayor, with the put to the vote clause. It is always up to the councillor to decide if they are for or against a motion that they are speaking to. It is up to the councillor right up until the point that they vote for or against it. And it is not for the person listening to them to decide if they are for or against unless the councillor expressly says that they are for or against. Now, what we have seen in the past is with this clause, it being strategically used to shut down debate. We must make sure...
Councillor Foyley?
I believe that the councillor
Sorry,
is
Councillor,
making...
2 seconds. I'm just going to ask the gallery if they could not shout out and make noises, if that's okay, please. Thank you. Sorry, Councillor Foley.
That the councillor is making inflammatory comments about other councillors and how we've voted.
Yeah, I'll uphold that, Councillor. Please proceed.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. So this deleting this clause ensures that everybody is encouraged to speak freely, to keep debate open, and of course this is the very role of a councillor. So I urge councillors to support me on these amendments. It puts us back in the place that we were just a few months ago, and it is also strongly supported by the Minister in all of his speaking to this, and also to the MLC from the Greens Party, Dr Amanda Conn, who has said that the only issue with the Code of Meeting Practice was the accessibility for regional councillors to make face-to-face meetings. And she said that there was no problem with the 5-minute speaking time, and she expects that to be reinstated immediately. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Russell.
I would like to commend Councillor Moylan for her leadership in proposing that we don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, because there's been some differences of opinion in state government. And when I look at the files that we have been provided with on some of the most significant issues that we will decide in our council term, we certainly almost have the triumvirate, really, don't we? We've got whether we expend more ratepayers' money investigating an IPART submission for a special rate variation. We have the draft DCP about to go out for public exhibition, and we've got a heritage study which has literally had well over a decade of work done on it, and we've still got some inconsistencies from what the representations we've had in the public forum. And I'll be frank, I will be asking to defer a couple of those, because just in dealing with the first item thoroughly of business alone, it's been a stretch to give due care to other issues on the agenda. And when I was attending a Marsden's conference last year and the Secretary of Local Government was speaking, Brett Whitworth, he actually referenced the fact that we need to be looking at the size of business papers to ensure that council is not brought into disrepute, and that we need to be upholding good governance, well, standards that promote good governance and standards full stop. I'll also quote the chair of ARIC, Stephen Horn, who spoke at the October 2025 meeting, and it's interesting because I had actually researched this and it's come in handy. He quoted the importance of a viable governance culture whereby differences of opinion can be worked through in a constructive and respectful manner, both within the elected body and between the elected body and staff. And then further, he noted, we, the ARIC, are mindful that yourselves, as an incoming council, have a considerable number of significant and complex issues to confront and resolve, so it would not be an easy environment, and mutual respect and goodwill on the part of all would be vital, and I believe what Councillor Moylan is proposing is just that. In regard to financial sustainability that we're looking at today, the Chair noted that these require complex and possibly difficult matters to be examined, involving both future income and expenditure. We have the operational plan for an entire year, sometimes just one of the decisions to be made on we would have presented on an agenda, and here we've got the job lot to consider, as well as the draft DCP and the heritage study and the other items of business, which are important, I know, to the staff who've done a lot of work on them, to get it, that we can support staff to get it right and do our job to make sure that we can get it to the standard that the community wants. Every decision that we face on financial sustainability has implications for our community, and we want to uphold those standards. So let's give this a go.
Okay, thank you. Guys, defer to governance. Can we delete clauses out of the model code?
You can't delete mandatory clauses. It's only the non-mandatory clause. The to put vote is a mandatory clause.
To put vote is a mandatory clause. So there's items within here that are mandatory. And okay, thank you. Okay, would anyone else like to speak to this? Councillor Champion.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. At home, I have a copy of War and Peace, which is currently gathering dust, and the reason why I've never read it is because it's too long. I've been alive for 40 years, and I still haven't managed it, but this week's agenda papers are longer. And we're expected to read them all, understand them all, propose amendments where relevant, and most importantly, make sound decisions about them all in the space of a week. So I do understand your concern, Councillor Moylan, in bringing this issue to the chamber. However, I don't support more than once monthly meetings. I think we can manage our meetings better, and we should. However, more meetings does not mean better management, and I would suggest that we spread our agendas more evenly amongst our meetings and across the months. I don't think that this is necessary, and so I don't support this motion. I also want to speak quickly to a misrepresentation, not of a councillor here in the room, but of the debate that has gone on in the New South Wales Upper House on this issue of the Code of Meeting Practice. Member of the Legislative Council, Dr. Amanda Conn, who is the Greens spokesperson for local government, has raised several issues in her disallowance motion. Councillor Moylan suggested that it was just one thing that she was objecting to. However, there's a long list, including loss of immediacy, exclusion of public input, unfair hardships for regional areas, the list goes on. And I would just like to point out that this is a lot more complicated than just making a few small changes. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Smith.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. And I'd like to reiterate the points Councillor Champions made. I'll be speaking against this motion. I don't think that more meetings or longer speaking time makes for better debate. We have discussed this in the past, but what I do welcome is seeing that there's a return to briefings, and I think that we need more background. I really take your point that there is a lot in here. I think today's meeting in particular, there's a lot of information around things like the DCP and heritage and the budget, that there's an awful lot to get our heads around, and I think there's an awful lot of concern in the community. So I understand your intent, however, I think there's different ways to achieve it. Thank you.
Yeah, look, I'm against this as item 10.22 and all the way through to 10.28 are mandatory clauses. So even if we resolve this today, we cannot enforce them due to them being aligned with the model code. Would I like to speak to this?
A question through you, Mayor Fitzpatrick. Could the Director of Governance just read out those clauses so that all councillors can know what we're voting on?
Sure. General Manager.
Through Mr Mayor, if you could provide us with a minute, thank you.
So 10.24, despite clause 10.22, the council may resolve to shorten the duration of speeches to expedite consideration of the business at council. And then 10.25, despite clauses 10.20 and 10.21, a councillor may move a motion or an amendment now be put. A, if the mover of the motion or amendment has spoken in favour of it, and no councillor expresses an intention to speak against it, or B, if at least two councillors have spoken in favour of a motion or an amendment and at least two councillors have spoken against it.
I probably shouldn't have allowed it to be because we can't amend it. However, I'll put it to the vote. And again, I'll reiterate that yeah, we can't go away from the model code. So anyone else like to speak to this before we do this, put this amendment? Councillor Moylan, have you already spoken?
I have a question.
Yes, go ahead.
On the question of meeting frequency, Mr Mayor, are the Sunday morning calls still happening, the pre-meeting meetings?
Councillor, occasionally councils will talk to each other as they see fit. Again, I'll ask the gallery not to speak during the meeting. Thank you. Okay, I'll now put this amendment. All those in favour? Councillor Russell, Councillor Moylan. All those against? Councillor Champion, Councillor Duffy, Councillor Russell, Councillor Foley, Councillor Kent, Councillor Smith, Councillor Fitzpatrick. And so we are back at the original mayoral minute. Would else like to speak to this? Councillor Moylan.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I move a procedural motion that no councillor be allowed to reduce the speaking time in this meeting today.
General Manager, could I get some comment?
Through Mr Mayor to Dr Lidgard.
It's not a procedural motion in my view.
It's not a procedural motion. Would else like to speak to this? Okay, I will now put this mayoral minute. All those in favour? That is carried unanimously. The next one, I'll just read it out because it was circulated late. But we have many amazing people in our local community. It was pleasing to see some of these recognised in the 2026 King's Birthday Honours. I wish to congratulate the following Wingecarribee residents who were recognised this year. So we have Professor Timothy Entwistle, AO, for distinguished service to environment conservation, to botanical sciences, to the media, to tertiary education and to the community. We have Catherine Mary Vines, AM, for significant service to the community health through cancer support and as a founder of Rare Cancers Australia. Linda Emery, OAM, for service to the community of Wingecarribee through her work with the Berrima District Historical and Family History Society. Jeffrey Prenter, OAM for the service to the print media as a sports journalist, including as the founding editor of Rugby League Week. Lee Nolan, AFSM, for distinguished service as a member of an Australian Fire Service. Council congratulates and thanks recipients for their contributions to our Shire, and the recommendation is that we note and congratulate the above recipients of the King's Birthday 26 Honours. Would anyone like to speak to this? Okay, I'll now put this mayoral minute. All those in favour? That is carried unanimously. We now have our first item, item 8.1.1. Can I have a mover? Councillor Kent. Are we moving this as...
Yeah, I'd like to move the officer's recommendation with a change, and I'll send through the change. Actually, it might already be on the screen. That's synchronicity.
I'll just get you one set up to walk us through what the change is, please.
Sure, can I commence?
Go ahead.
Okay, there's a lot of words there. It's mostly the original. What it does, in summary, or proposes to do, is to move the potential special rate variation and associated consultation process 1 year to the right. And it proposes some amendments to the 2026-2027 Capital Works program to accommodate a new disabled access public toilet at Hilltop. I'll just speak.
Yep, I'll just get a seconder for this. Councillor Duffy, Councillor Kent, go ahead.
Sure. I'll speak to the first portion, the potential special rate variation item. I feel this is the wrong time to be talking about raising water, sewerage and general rates. When the financial sustainability project was commenced 12 months ago, I thought it was the right time to do this review. The economy had stabilised, interest rates had come back to 2022 levels, off the highs from 23 to 25, inflation was falling, etc. 12 months on, interest rates are back to the highs of 2023 to 2025 and could go higher this year. Inflation is back up. Everywhere you turn, someone's hand is in your pocket for more. Petrol is right up. Insurance is up. Groceries are up. Electricity is up. Everything's up. I get that many councils have to do special rate variations, but how many look to do water, sewerage, and a special rate variation almost concurrently? The work to date is good work. It really is, in terms of Graham's work and the staff's work. It's a good base, but moving the potential special rate variation aspect of it 1 year to the right would give us a chance to re-examine the underlying assumptions before being another hand in people's pockets at a time when many are doing it tough. In terms of part 2 of the proposed change is an amendment to the Capital Works program, as I said, to incorporate the public toilet at the Hilltop, the new Hilltop Park. The change is to move money from the complete refurbishment of the Mount Gibraltar Lookout toilets, and that's proposed as we know, there are public toilets at Mount Gibraltar. There will be some updating of those toilets under this proposed amendment if adopted, but really there is a real need at Hilltop. We heard about it in the public forum. The Hilltop Park is used by many Highlands young families, and it's a very important thing to have a public toilet at a park like that when all the great work that's been done to bring the park to where it is today. That's the background to the proposed change. Thank you.
Thank you. Look, I'd like to move an amendment that we go back to the officer's original recommendation, including leaving the toilets back in. Sorry, the Councillor Kent's original framework on the expenditure there. I'll just wait for that to come up. And
Mr Mayor, can I just ask that we just slow down a bit? I haven't seen Councillor Kent's proposed amendment. Where is it?
It's moved with a change, so it's Councillor Kent's motion. Yeah. So it's a bit backwards. Councillor moved it with the change, just for those watching, instead of the councillor's, the staff recommendation. So I'm now moving an amendment to go back there, but I'm keeping in the items around the expenditure for Hilltop Toilet and the like there. Are we good there? Oh, sorry, yep. Okay. Could I get do you accept this, Councillor Kent, this amendment?
No, I don't.
Could I get a seconder, please? Councillor Foley. Okay, the reason is we need to have the conversation. So the resolution today, as per the staff recommendation, does not mean an SRV is coming without consideration of, well, I should say, without talking to the public. So all this is saying is continue the conversation. I want to continue the conversation. If councillors are of a mind not to support an SRV, I believe in October when it comes back, that's absolutely fine. And if they want to defer it, that's up to them. That's up to each individual councillor. But I don't want to stop. I don't want to not have the conversation. So the reason for going back to the Office of the Recommendation is that allows the council to explain our financial position, explain why we need what we need to do, get feedback, and then in October. If you resolve this today in this format, there is no guarantee of an SRV. It will still have to be decided on in October when it comes back, but I don't want to cut that consultation out right now that I believe we really need to have with the public. Councillor Champion, would you like to speak to this?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Through you, a question to the General Manager, please. Could I just ask for a quick outline on how community engagement would differ between the original motion and the Mayor's amendment?
General Manager, does that make sense? As in, what consultation will look like if it was deferred by, if it was deferred by versus done now? Sorry, is that correct? Yeah.
Yep. Thank you, Mr Mayor. Ms Jones.
Through you, General Manager, Councillor Champion, we wouldn't propose any different strategy to support engagement, whether it happens this year or next. What we would be consulting on would change. So we would need to consult with the community on contemporary financial modelling. So a new LTFP.
A follow-up question through you, Mr Mayor, please. So can I just be clear that if we did defer, according to the original motion, delay by a year, we would not have a consultation period right now, but rather we would have one later in a year's time. Is that correct?
I believe that was the intention behind Councillor Kent's motion.
Go ahead, Councillor Kent.
Part of the consideration in the original motion was that we wouldn't need to run consultation twice. So I believe if as councillors we get to October, having done the consultation this year, and then perhaps, I'm not saying you would agree with the proposal in my motion today, but if that was agreed, then we'd be back doing consultation again in a year's time. So we'd be doing two lots. My intent was to try and avoid doing two lots.
Okay. And just so for everyone's clarity, so we had the budget was moved with a change. That change was to defer the SRV component by 1 year, meaning that all what we're talking about now would happen in 1 year's time. I then moved an amendment to go back to the Office of Recommendation. I'm just catching everybody up. And now the Councillor Champion, if I'm correct, is just clarifying what that means. So we're still in my amendment, which is back to the Office of Recommendation, including the Hilltop toilet and the like. Would anyone like to speak to this? Councillor Russell.
actually have some questions, Mayor Fitzpatrick, first. In regards to the rate peg that's being applied of 3.9%, could I get some clarification around what the rate peg is, if that is 3.9% or is it 3.3%?
General Manager? Yep.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. So for the 26-27 financial year, the rate peg set by IPART is 3.3. What happens is each year the IPART will assess and they'll release what the rate peg is. In order to undertake the financial modelling, the modelling has been based on a 3.9% rate peg because we don't know what the rate peg will be till the IPART set it, and they generally don't advise us till about 6 months out, I believe. Yep, about 6 months out. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Okay, we'd also like to speak to this amendment, and just keeping in mind, we'll go back to the body of the motion once this is resolved.
Mayor Fitzpatrick,
Yes.
I have a list of questions that I need to understand the material in the amendment.
Okay.
I understand that we have an obligation to the Local Government Act to actually commit funds to agenda items. We haven't indicated our increased thresholds yet. So how can we adopt a long-term financial plan scenario 2 when we haven't actually committed the funds to that?
General Manager?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I may call on Ms Jones, but councillors, you have two matters before you. So you have the draft budget for 26-27. As part of that, as per every year, the council also needs to adopt the budget and also set the fees and charges and set the rate, or strike the rate is the technical term. So that's what's before you. And the budget is based on the 3.3% IPART rate increase, okay? With the long-term financial plan, under the Office of Local Government IP&R requirements, councils are required to have 2 scenarios within their LTFP, their long-term financial plan. There's scenario 1 and scenario 2. What's in the 26-27 budget and operational plan is scenario 1. But we are required by legislation to have a minimum of 2 scenarios, councillor.
Okay.
Thank you.
Councillor Russell.
Mayor Fitzpatrick, in order to proceed, we will be using the existing business case. Could you help me understand, when did you get an opportunity to view the scope before that was contracted out by the General Manager?
General Manager, I've been had the same information the entire time as you.
So you weren't informed that AEC was being contracted before the meeting with all the councillors?
Don't understand your question. I've done the same resolutions when we employed AEC as everybody else. I wasn't aware of until it came as a recommendation.
Oh, it didn't come as a recommendation to employ AEC. So I'm asking about the scope, because we have a scope where Graham, well, I will speak to
I'm
this
not quite following,
now.
yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I will speak to this now. The key issue that I perceived here is that we appear to have missed a step in this process, in the fact that we didn't work on the technical and productive efficiencies on the cost inputs that went into the business case for a rate rise with AEC. Now, I will forward through to governance the scope of that review, which I will table for the meeting, and we can clearly see that perhaps because governance didn't have oversight of that, we've missed a step. And Graham Jarvis has told us that there's been a low amount of work done on the cost inputs into the business case. Now, inevitably, the cost inputs will determine the size of the rate rise. But we haven't done our work on those. And so what we would be putting out to the community is does not have the rigour that is required for us to be accountable to our community on what our council actually needs. It's almost as if we have put the cart before the horse and we've jumped in with both feet when instead we needed to do our work first. Now, at this point, based on the public submissions, we need to be very careful about how we proceed. And so I am not going to support Mayor Fitzpatrick. I'm sorry, but I will be supporting Councillor Kent's motion on this, because I think that we need to do that work first, acknowledging the 289 community submissions. Well done to everybody who submitted, and thank you very much.
Okay, Councillor Foley.
Thank you. I'd like to speak in support of this amendment. Firstly, on the change that was made for the public toilets at Hilltop, I do agree with this reallocation. Thank you, Councillor Kent, for bringing that one to us. I'd also like to acknowledge the concerns raised about rising costs and the broader questions of affordability for our community that Councillor Kent also brought up. These concerns are valid and reflect the real pressures that many households are under. It is important to be clear, though, about what is in front of us in regards to the SRV consultation. We're not deciding on an SRV itself tonight. We're deciding about whether to proceed with community engagement on the proposed SRV. Consultation and getting the information out there, engaging with community in the business case and the scenarios is incredibly important. The feedback from exhibition shows that there are still questions that people have about what we're doing and why we're doing it and how we got to where we are now. Residents want and deserve to know more about it. Councillors, we've been deep in the finances for over a year, but residents may not have been following along so closely. And that is why I believe that we do need to proceed with consultation so that we can properly test this with the community now before making any final decision. We've started this conversation, let's keep it going.
Thank you, Councillor Chen.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Look, I would broadly like to echo everything that Councillor Foley just said. I think that the inclusion of the fees for the Hilltop toilets is excellent. Thank you, Councillor Kent, for making that correction or change, sorry. However, I do wish to support Mayor Fitzpatrick's amendment. I think that the intent of the changes to the original motion made by Councillor Kent are compassionate, and I think that that compassion is really valued. However, my primary concern right now is that we are making a decision between whether we continue to a community engagement period right now and then make a decision about whether or not to proceed with an application to IPART. I think that we have already brought this issue to the community. We have already brought the issue to the chamber. Everybody, well, not everybody, but the community broadly is publicly aware of our financial situation and the concerns that we have and the issues that we need to tackle. So our community has questions and needs the opportunity to ask those questions and get answers. And I think that delay, unfortunately, is a recipe for confusion and distress. I'm voting for community consultation for now, and from there we can make a decision together informed by that consultation in October.
Thank you. Would you like to speak to this? Okay. I will now put this amendment. All those in favour? Councillor Champion, Councillor Farrell, Councillor Foley, Councillor Smith, Councillor Fitzpatrick. All those against? Councillor Duffy, Councillor Russell, Councillor Moylan, Councillor Kent. That is successful. So that has become the motion. We'll just wait for the computer to catch up. Now we're back in the body of the motion. Councillor Kent has already spoken. Would Councillor Smith, you would like to speak?
Can I make an amendment, please?
What is your amendment?
And governance should have a copy of this. I would like to add point 11. So sorry, I'll let you. So everything else remains the same? That's it. So based on community feedback received, Council created an independent financial sustainability advisory committee comprised of voting members of 2 councillors and 3 independent community members, and endorsed the committee terms of reference attached. I have emailed those to the councillors, and I'd ask if that could be tabled as well. So, yes.
Okay. I will need actually, Councillor Kent, do you accept that?
For the purposes of debate, yes.
Okay, so that has now become the motion. Okay, would anyone else like to speak to this motion? Yep. Just move a procedural motion, councillor, yep, for a break? Oh, well, councillor, if you can move it and declare whatever time you want, and then it'll be voted upon.
Sorry, audience, but serious.
Well, councillor, you have to
Yeah.
move
I
it.
would like to move a procedural motion that we break for 30 minutes to consider the terms of reference that are being proposed for a finance committee.
Okay, can I get a seconder for that? Councillor Moylan? Sorry, I don't need a... Actually, I'll now put that procedural motion. All those in favour? Councillor Russell, Councillor Moylan, all those against? Councillor Champion, Councillor Duffy, Councillor Farrell, Councillor Foley, Councillor Kent, Councillor Smith, Councillor Fitzpatrick. That is lost. Councillor Champion, would you like to speak?
Mr Mayor, I'd like to propose a procedural motion for a 10-minute break.
Okay. We have a procedural motion. Seconder, Councillor Kent. Okay, I will now put that to the vote. All those... Sorry, my microphone has been on. All those in favour? Councillor Champion, Councillor Duffy, Councillor Farrell, Councillor Foley, Councillor Kent, Councillor Smith, Councillor Fitzpatrick. All those against? Councillor Moylan. And I didn't record your vote. I'm sorry, Councillor Russell. Were you for or against? Abstained? And Councillor Russell abstained. We will reconvene at 5:47. Okay, we'll reconvene at 5:48. Just gonna catch up on where we're at, and correct me, governance, if I've missed a step. But we had an original budget motion that was moved with a change, and that change was from Councillor Kent, and that was to defer the SV consultation and everything to the right for a year. I then moved a motion to go back to the officer's recommendation, keeping in mind with the caveat that the toilet has remained throughout. That was then successful, making Councillor Kent's motion it is still owned by Councillor Kent, however, it has been changed to my amendment. Councillor Smith then moved the amendment for an established finance committee, and that was accepted by Councillor Kent, who was the original motion mover. Now we are in the body of the motion, and that is to be debated, and I'll just get a check of who has and hasn't spoken. I believe Councillor Kent has spoken once. Governance, have you got any record? No one else has spoken, so Councillor Russell, over to you.
I would like to move an amendment, please.
Sure, what's your amendment?
I've just sent it through to governance. If you could, to add. No, it was accepted.
Sorry? Yeah, it was accepted by Councillor Kent because it's his motion and he chose to accept the amendment.
Oh, actually, it might be easier if I read it out but you can cut and paste. So if you go to the end of the text where Councillor, I think I've, yeah.
So item 11?
Yes, item 11. So, based on community feedback received, create an independent financial sustainability advisory committee comprised of voting members with the terms of reference attached, comma, with the following inclusion, delegations. Next line. The committee does not have delegations or the power to incur expenditure, in brackets, directly or indirectly. Full stop. The committee may form working parties. Oh, sorry.
You don't have this in digital form?
Well, I have sent it through in digital form, so I'm reading it out. So Paige can take it. I'll read it out while she's doing that.
Yeah, read it out
The
for our
committee
purpose.
may form working parties. Then, next sentence, for exercising its role, council authorises the committee to, first dot point, request any information it needs from council via the finance portal, have direct access to the executive management team of the council, where authorised by the CEO, General Manager in this case, to meet with council staff, members or contractors, discuss any financial matters with the Audit, Risk and Improvement Committee or external oversight agencies, and request that the GM in this case, engage external, legal or other professional advice in line with council's procurement policies.
Is your last point in relation to the Finance Committee?
Yes, it
professional
is.
Advice
It's
Weymouth
in relation to
Chronicles?
the terms of reference and the delegations.
Okay, Councillor Kent, do you accept this amendment? Councillor, I'll need a seconder for that. Councillor Moylan, Councillor Russell.
Mayor Fitzpatrick, I know you to be a man of integrity who is feeling the burden of responsibility on your shoulders in your role as mayor as we face our council's ageing core infrastructure, roads that need fixing, and a backlog of critical infrastructure investment across the Southern Highlands in our council's assets. I know each member of this council is here to help. We hold responsibilities to our community we cannot abrogate or delegate. And we know we need to be rigorous because this is not our money, this is other people's money. When two mayors shared their stoic stories with us of putting through rate rises at great cost to their physical and emotional well-being, as you know, I asked them, did either of them have a finance committee? And the answer was no. Isn't this one good reason why we do need an independent finance committee? Now, we know that there are some in our community who are struggling. Isn't establishing an independent finance committee the only way to proceed with a clear conscience? By demonstrating the courage and commitment required to explore all the options available to get the very best value for every single dollar of their money? Mayor Fitzpatrick, the burden of fixing council's finances is a burden that can be shared with a truly independent finance committee. We know that when we have truly independent oversight, everyone wins. The only thing to fear is fear itself. Mayor Fitzpatrick, our community will thank you if you heed our call to lead the establishment of an independent finance committee. We can work with the very best resources and expertise and get that from within our community to support our council to perform at its very best and get the best value for rates. It will be a success. Mayor Fitzpatrick, the choice now is yours.
Thank you, Councillor Russell. Would else like to speak to this? Councillor Foley first, then Councillor Moylan.
Just clip there. Oh, there we go. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a quick question. I'm not familiar with the finance portal. Would I be able to get an explanation of that through you, Mayor?
Councillor Russell? Or you want that?
That would be a question to management.
Yeah.
Request any information needs from council via the finance portal. So you've proposed that. So what is it?
Will management have within their structure a finance portal?
General Manager?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, we don't have a finance portal.
Okay. Look, I'll speak to it. Look, don't disagree with some of your comments, Councillor Russell. However, I'm happy with the proposed ones by Councillor Smith. And as for me being on it, in the terms of reference, I am able to go to it. So I feel like it's covered. Councillor Champion. Apologies, Councillor. I did give Councillor Moylan next in line. Apologies. Go ahead, Councillor Moylan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll speak to this amendment of Councillor Russell's. Whilst I support Councillor Russell's arguments here, and I absolutely support any kind of financial committee, I cannot support the amendment because I don't support the endorsement of terms of reference with only 10 minutes reading time. Terms of reference are a serious document. They form a foundational part of any public inquiry and they set the scope. So I am not comfortable agreeing to terms of reference under the pump with 10 minutes. I do, however, suggest to, through you, Mr. Mayor, to Councillor Smith, to take this idea and put it as a notice of motion so that councillors have time to understand what you're seeking to achieve, time to understand and read through the terms of reference. I have supported Councillor Russell with her Finance Committee for over a year now, and I've had that time to understand what Councillor Russell had in mind, but this is new to me, Councillor Smith's suggestion. So whilst I support the general proposition of an independent finance committee, mainly made up of community members, I can't support this amendment because I can't support agreeing to terms of reference on the fly.
Thank you. Councillor Champion was next.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. A question through you to the General Manager, please. given that the text that we're looking at here appears to be lifted word for word from the Shoalhaven terms of reference for their finance committee, would this require any kind of rescission motion of our previous decision not to adopt that terms of reference, not to adopt a finance committee with that terms of reference?
It's probably touch and go. Do you have any comments, General Manager?
Yeah, I might ask Dr. Lidgard to answer that in a moment. What I would point out is that there are a couple of points in Councillor Russell's amendment that are already covered in Councillor Smith's proposed terms of reference, specifically in relation to 2.2, where it talks about the committee has no delegated authority, and it goes on in terms of incur expenditure. It also references 5.2, where it talks about additional council officers or external subject experts may attend meetings at the invitation of the chairperson in consultation with the general manager. So there are some elements that are covered in Councillor Smith's proposed amendment. Dr. Lidgard, in terms of the mechanics of a rescission motion.
No, I don't believe rescission's required. It's only a small part of what was a bigger terms of reference.
Councillor Champion?
Thank you for that clarification. I'll speak to the amendment now. When a finance committee was first proposed in this chamber in our term of office about a year ago, I supported it in principle. However, when it came back again this year, I did not support it on the basis that it used this particular terms of reference. And as such, I can't support this additional detail that's been added. However, I am in full support of the proposal that's been made by Councillor Smith.
Thank you. Councillor Smith? Oh, sorry, Councillor Russell, then Councillor Smith.
I would like to foreshadow an amendment that removes the point about the finance via the finance portal, and also that then states that the terms of reference for a finance review panel be put on public exhibition for 20 days to be brought back to the July meeting of council.
Okay, so that's been foreshadowed. Councillor Smith, I believe, is next.
Just to clarify, just the comment made by Councillor Champion about the wording being taken from Shoalhaven, just to clarify, your meaning Councillor Russell's...
For the amendment, yeah.
Yep.
Thank you for the question. Yes, I am. I recognise that the terms of reference you have provided in your change to the motion are different, and that's why I do not support Councillor Russell's amendment to that change.
Okay. Councillor Smith?
And just one more clarification or the point. Councillor Moylan, you raised that you'd only had 10 minutes. I did email these through at 1:25. I do realise that's still a short amount of time, but I just want to clarify it was sent earlier today. This isn't the first time, so thank you.
Would anyone like to speak to this amendment? Okay, I'll now put this amendment to the vote. All those in favour? Councillor Russell, those against? Councillor Champion, Councillor Duffy, Councillor Moylan, Councillor Farrell, Councillor Foley, Councillor Kent, Councillor Smith, Councillor Fitzpatrick. We are now back at the body of the motion. Could I please just see who's spoken for and against so far? Are we still only at Kent? Only Kent. Okay, Councillor Moylan. Oh, sorry, you have you have an amendment? Go ahead. Sorry, Councillor Russell.
If we could put up my foreshadowed amendment, please. So if you could, take out that and any duplications that the General Manager mentioned, please.
Okay. Councillor Kent, do you accept this amendment? Okay. Councillor Russell, do you have a seconder?
Sorry, just, yes, I do, but just also that, and be brought to the July meeting of council.
Sorry, you have a question, Councillor Smith?
Just the delegations section that's still sitting there, but didn't we just vote against that? Shouldn't that be deleted? I'm confused. Because that's not part of my... Oh.
Yeah, it's changed. It's changed. The amendment's
So
changed.
Councillor Russell's amendment now still includes that plus...
Correct.
Right.
Yeah, she
and we can do
foreshadowed,
that.
Councillor
Right.
Russell foreshadowed with a few minor changes and then this new term too. That's been seconded now by Councillor Moylan. And now Councillor Russell, go ahead.
I will return to the advice from the ARIC chair that I mentioned at the start of this meeting. As a governing body, we have responsibilities which we cannot abrogate or delegate. They are not ARIC's responsibilities. They are our responsibilities to be truly accountable to our community. I completely agree with Councillor Moylan in regards to the amount of time that councillors have had to consider a whole suite of new terms of reference. I did not get the opportunity to read this before the meeting. 10 minutes is not sufficient. If we wish to pride ourselves and be accountable to our community for good governance, on terms of reference where there can be legal challenge, we need to know that all councillors have been given a sufficient time to consider and make amendments. I apologise if my previous amendment was somewhat rushed, but given 10 minutes to absorb the terms of reference and work out how I could support Councillor Smith in what I saw was improving them on behalf of the thousands of community members that I represent. That was the best I could do with that. But I take on Councillor Moylan's point that we actually do need to have more time for deliberation. We need to make sure that this has all of the checks and balances in place for our due diligence and our duties to be discharged.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak to this? Councillor Moylan.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I support the change that has been made. It's important that not only councillors have sufficient time to read this important document, but also the community. But I will say, Mr Mayor, that overall, councillors have been wedged for time in this budget. We have only had 6 days to read a lot of material which sees the most broad sweeping hikes to
Councillor,
residents.
I'll just draw your attention back to the amendment. So you seem to be debating the budget. We're still in the amendment of the Finance Committee.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'm referring to Councillor Russell's comment about time. So it's not only for reference to the terms of reference here for the Finance Committee, but the budget overall. For us to be able to truly do the best job we can, we need more time with the budget, we need more time with the terms of reference for the Finance Committee. We need to be able to talk to each
Councillor
other.
Moylan, we have a point of order. Councillor Foley.
Mr Mayor, I believe you just ruled on the relevance of speaking to the
Yeah,
budget
we'll uphold
when
that.
we're looking at an
more than
amendment on terms of reference.
Yeah, more than happy for you to comment on the timeframes around the terms of reference. However, you seem to be going back to the budget, which you can still do beyond this, but we are in the amendment, so I'll get you to speak to the amendment, please.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Just on the point of relevance, under the right for political communication, anybody can make their point using any type of example to
Councillor, you're
illustrate
raising
their
a
point.
point
So
of
it's
order?
not a motion of dissent, Mr Mayor.
Against my
because
ruling? Okay. Yeah, we have a motion of dissent.
We've been here
Sorry, Councillor. We have a motion of dissent. That'll need to be ruled on. Do I need a seconder for a motion of dissent? Apologies. Yes, could I get a seconder for this? Councillor Russell. And is there any debate on the motion of dissent? No. Okay, we'll now put the motion of dissent.
No, sorry, Mr Mayor. The motion of dissent rules allow the person who is moving the motion of dissent to speak to it and yourself.
I'll just ask General Manager. 2 seconds. Okay.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. So as I was saying, and we have been here before, the Code of Meeting Practice, both the one we're under now and the most recent one, does not anywhere insist that a councillor speaks to is relevant. It is up to the councillor to decide how they express themselves, and under freedom of speech rights, we can use whatever example we choose to illustrate our point. So we have been here before, Mr Mayor, and you need to wait, we all need to wait until the councillor has finished speaking so that they can have the fullness of time to be able to explain their point. So my point is about timeframes. I'm saying that not only have we not had enough time to review Councillor Smith's terms of reference.
I'm really sorry to interject, Councillor, but your motion of dissent was about me ruling that you need to get back onto topic. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think we're at crossed. We're not understanding each other.
So you're speaking to my. So you're arguing against my ruling. So I said, please get back on the topic. You don't believe that should be the case.
So my point is, Mr Mayor, that I believe I was on topic.
Okay.
Because I was using another example, being the budget and the timeframes that we've had with the budget, to also support my argument that we haven't had enough time with the terms of reference. Okay. So it's my interpretation of what's relevant as opposed to yours.
Yep, I understand. Okay, and are we to put the motion in favour? So you're voting for the dissent, or so if I say all those four, they're voting in favour of Councillor Moylan's dissent, and then against in favour of. Okay, so all those in favour of Councillor Moylan's dissent getting up, Councillor Russell, Councillor Moylan. All those against, Councillor Chairman, Councillor Duffy, Councillor Farrell, Councillor Foley, Councillor Kent, Councillor Smith, Councillor Fitzpatrick, and I believe Councillor Moylan. Did you still have more to say on it? Okay. Anyone else like to speak to this? Okay. I will now put this amendment. All those in favour? Councillor Russell, Councillor Moylan. All those against? Councillor Chairman, Councillor Duffy, Councillor Farrell, Councillor Foley, Councillor Kent, Councillor Smith, Councillor Fitzpatrick. That is lost. We are now back at the body of the motion. I believe Councillor Kent is still the only person to have spoken. Councillor Moylan, and then we'll go to Councillor Duffy.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I will be speaking to this motion, and I will wait until I hear the rest of the debate before I say whether I'm for or against it. Thank you to the community for your 289 submissions made regarding this budget in very difficult circumstances, with very looking for information that has been very difficult to find. Once again, this community has pulled together.
Councillor, I have a point of order. Councillor Duffy.
Yeah, Councillor, sorry, it's under clause 15.1, Councillor Moylan appears to be directing remarks to the gallery rather than participating in debate on the matter before the council. I seek a ruling from the chair.
I'll uphold that if you could please.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. So, and I hope that I still have my full 3 minutes. The community has come together and you have explained a clear no to these rate rises, sewer and fee rises, asset sales, and taking out a loan which your grandchildren will be paying off. You want to keep more of your money rather than give it to council. You want to keep more of your money to pay off your household debts rather than give it to council to pay off council's debts. You want to keep more of your money and pay for a visit to Nunangulla Art Gallery when you choose, rather than council give that money to a business.
Councillor Moore, we have a point of order.
Sorry, I believe that the speaker is addressing the camera rather than the meeting.
Okay, Councillor. Yeah, I'll, if you could address your councillors and myself, please.
You want to keep more of your money.
Sorry, councillor, your mic's not on. Apologies. Go ahead. Do you have an until pause if there's any interruptions?
You want to keep more of your money because you think you've already been generous enough in giving it to council. And you want to keep more of your money rather than give it to council when they failed to litigate against the nation's biggest plastic factory, who it appears the IPC believes it will contaminate our waterways. You want to keep more money of yours instead of handing it over to council to rehabilitate a mere 5 kilometres more per year in roads. Well, I stand with you.
Councillor Foley, we have a point of order.
Mr Mayor, question of order under clause 15.5. I submit that Councillor Moylan's remarks may constitute an act of disorder under clause 15.11e as they are likely to bring council into disrepute. We're not talking about 5 kilometres of road with this SRV. It is much bigger than that.
Thank you, councillor. Uphold that. Go ahead, councillor Moylan.
Mr Mayor, I'll move a motion of dissent on that. Uphold.
Go ahead.
Councillor Foley would appreciate that in the AEC business paper, it was itemised what infrastructure the SRV would go to support. And one of those items was 47 kilometres of road to be fixed if we went through with this SRV. Now, that's over 10 years. So annualised, and the staff's documentation actually confirms this. Annualised, that means it's 4.7 kilometres per year that we can expect to see out of this SRV, this 34% cumulative SRV. Now, I do apologise to Councillor Foley. She is absolutely correct. I said 5 kilometres. It's actually 4.7 kilometres per year.
Thank you, councillor. Okay. I believe I have to treat just because of the things being said, can I ask a question of General Manager on finances before I decide, before we put it to, just for clarity? General Manager, do you have any comment on this?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. In scenario 2, in terms of the actual investment in roads, the difference between scenario 1 and scenario 2 is about a $20 million investment over a 4-year capital works program. That includes, and it's all itemised within the document, that includes a broad program of resealing, patching, reconstruction.
And I'll put this dissent. So again, if you're voting in favour of the dissent, you're voting for Councillor Moylan's dissent. All those in favour?
Sorry, could I just get a point of clarification? The General Manager didn't actually negate Councillor Moylan's point there, did she?
She'd say that there was 20 million over 4 years.
Yes, I know, but it is still, Councillor Moylan was still factually accurate in the information she presented before Councillor Foley interrupted her.
Gentlemen.
Yep, through you, Mr Mayor, and I believe the Director's itching to answer this too. There was a lot more to be delivered through the proposed SRV. Mr McAllister, would you like to add to that?
Through you, General Manager. Yes, I believe the councillor is factually incorrect. If you looked at pages 603 through to 605 of the business papers, it is actually within the addendum to the delivery program. There's more than just the 49 or 47 kilometres of road. We're talking about an additional 59 kilometres or a 37% increase in reseeding of gravel roads. We're talking about a 158 kilometre increase, so a 45% increase in resealing of sprayed or spray sealed roads. We're talking about an 18 kilometre increase, so 36% across resealing asphalted roads. We're talking about a 17% increase, so 54%. Of road rehabilitation, so this is the sub-pavement below the surface. In addition, we are talking about a 24% or a 1.22 million increase related to heavy patching, in addition to a range of other programs associated with maintenance on our roads and associated with our buildings.
Okay, thank you. I'll now put this vote. All those in favour of the dissent? Councillor Russell, Councillor Moylan, all those against? Councillor Champion, Councillor Duffy, Councillor Farrell, Councillor Foley, Councillor Kent, Councillor Smith, Councillor Fitzpatrick. Okay, we are now back at the motion. Councillor Moylan, you want to finish your speaking? Go ahead.
Yes, and I was referring to rehabilitation of roads, that's all. So you want to keep more of your money instead of giving it to council because you think council should not be subsidising businesses.
Councillor Champion.
The Speaker appears to be addressing the camera again.
Councillor, I'm going to uphold that. You are meant to address us as your council. Thank you.
And you don't want a special rate variation. And you are telling us now, you don't want to wait until when council is ready to listen to you. You are telling us right now and loud and clear, you don't want this special rate variation. You don't want to give more of your money for water and sewer. When you have raw sewage in your backyard flowing down to Mittagong Road, and you can't see value for your money in the sewer system at the moment, let alone having to give more for a complex upgrade.
Thank you, Councillor. That's your time. Would else like to speak to this? Councillor Smith.
I just have a question. Councillor Moylan kept mentioning you and your. Can I ask, are you referring to the councillors or who are you referring to, sorry?
Apologies, Councillor Moylan. Would you like to answer that? You don't have to.
I think it's pretty clear. I was referring to the residents that made the 289 submissions. Thank you.
Thank you. I had seen a hand. Councillor Duffy.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Sorry, I'm just trying to catch up with what we are up to. Okay, so I have taken the time to read through the submissions received during the exhibition period, and while there were a range of views expressed, one message came through loud and clear. Many people in our community simply do not have any more to give. Whilst I understand the need for additional revenue to address our significant asset renewal backlog and maintain the infrastructure our community relies on, I'm equally aware that many families, pensioners and small business owners are already struggling with rising household costs. It is important to acknowledge that local government is often held to a higher standard than many other sectors. We are required to publicly consult before increasing charges, unlike supermarkets, insurers or telecommunication companies, many of whom have significantly increased prices in recent years while reporting substantial profits. Local government is different. We are not a profit-making enterprise. Our responsibility is to maintain essential infrastructure, provide services and manage billions of dollars worth of community assets on behalf of our residents. I believe the staff at Wingecarribee have worked diligently to present the financial realities we face and to manage those assets responsibly. However, acknowledging those challenges does not mean ignoring the reality facing our community. Right now, I cannot, hand on heart, vote for this. I fully understand the need for additional revenue. The submissions we received demonstrate that many people are already at their limit. I would also like to acknowledge the inclusion of Hilltop to get their public toilet. I think that that's a really good decision from Councillor Kent and supported by everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Smith.
Thank you. I just have I've been thinking over it and I have a point of order in relation to something that I believe brings council into disrepute. Councillor Moylan earlier said when you have raw sewage flowing down through your backyard, that I find that bringing council into disrepute and I'd like that to be retracted, please.
Yeah, okay, I'm going to uphold that. Councillor, would you like to retract that statement?
Absolutely not,
Okay.
Mr Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor. That's all that's required.
Mr Mayor, I move a motion of dissent.
Against the ruling?
Most definitely.
Okay. What's your...
And I'll speak to that. The gentlemen of the family who have been suffering with raw sewage in their backyard flowing down to Mittagong Street and are privileged to be part of a neighbourhood who also has raw sewage issues, and this is a matter of a dispute that is ongoing. I absolutely support what I've said. This is what these councillors need to understand, that how on earth can we be asking ratepayers of this shire to be paying even more, up to 78% more, for water and sewage, when we haven't even given costings for the upgrade of the water treatment and the sewage treatment plant, when we have residents, and they are in the gallery today, who are living like they're in third world countries and are not being supported by council. This is an absolute disgrace.
Okay, thank you,
To
Councillor.
be asking ratepayers for more money when they can't even be given the basics. Now, this is, and the resident is here today.
Okay.
So I do not retract that
Okay,
statement.
thank you, Councillor.
And I think, Mr Mayor, I would invite Councillor Smith to come with me to meet
Okay,
these
Councillor, we're
families
getting
face
beyond,
to face.
we're getting beyond the dissent now. You've made your point. I'll now put this to vote. All those in favour of the dissent? Councillor Russell, Councillor Moylan, and all those, are you for or against? I see you're not for. Okay, all those against? Councillor Chairman, Councillor Duffy, Councillor Farrell, Councillor Foley, Councillor Kent, Councillor Smith, Councillor Fitzpatrick. Okay, who would else like to speak to this motion? Councillor Russell.
I have a foreshadowed amendment in there about
You can just move your amendment.
I'd like to move the amendment. It's the one on the SRV. I know Danielle's got a few. So it is the big one. Danielle, have I sent it through to you? I'll forward it again so you've got it again. And then I'll read it out because there's some changes. Yep, yeah, it is. Yep, that one. So the key changes are to the first point, which says that council consider the considerable number of public submissions received during the public submission exhibition period and reaffirm our commitment to exploring all options available to get the best value for our residents and ratepayers before committing our community to a special rate variation, to demonstrate the governing body of council, firstly, is listening to the needs of our whole community and acting accordingly. Secondly, leading the strategic direction of council. Thirdly, is accountable to our community for the performance of our council. And then if we move down, I've got on point 7, defer further exploration of a special rate variation at this juncture until A, a comprehensive strategic structural review with business cases of what is best value in how council is delivering and resourcing its services, e.g. what is the most cost-effective model of service delivery across all service areas that can take place, to inform the cost inputs of any business case to assess the required size of a special rate variation. B, the impact on our community of council's increases in water and sewer fees and charges outlined in the fees and charges 2026-27 can be adequately assessed. C, the results of the Australian Bureau of Statistics census scheduled to take place in August 2026 are published to ensure that the impacts of any business case for a rate rise is based on current and comprehensive population data.
Okay, you happy with that wording there? Councillor Kent, do you accept this? No. Councillor Russell, do you have a seconder? Councillor Moylan, Councillor Russell?
I have a number of questions before I speak to my amendment.
Go ahead.
Mayor Fitzpatrick, are you aware, did management find that business case that was done by a former manager that was done in 2023 that found that it was better value if we employed in-house staff at market rates than contracting out. Did council ever find that business case?
General Manager?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, it was in fact a coordinator, and the director contacted the coordinator, and he advised, and the director may wish to add to this, that there wasn't a business case. He had ideas. Mr. McAllister, did you want to add to that? No?
No.
Thank you.
Next question.
I'll have to check with him because I did communicate with him
Sorry.
and he was clear.
Go ahead.
He had done the sums. I've tabled, has governance received the scope attached to that email to table? Thank you. We have an opportunity here to be leaders and demonstrate to our community that we are steering this ship that is council. One of our roles in governance is to make sure and support council management in the adequacy and accuracy of processes that are undertaken on behalf of our community. And I'm talking to each of our council members here. If we are each here to help, then we will all participate in governance. Later in this meeting, we have the suggestion that we should incorporate a rate rise. If we are just ticking boxes on what management are offering up and not doing our job in making sure that we've got due diligence in processes.
I have a point of order. Councillor Kent. Thank you for that. Appreciate it. Yeah, can we please leave it? I know we're meant to keep it open, but just for disclosure, we usually keep the door open so people can flow in and out. There is considerable noise out there, so if everyone's comfortable, we'll leave it closed. Oh, we'll actually ask the noise to go away. Okay, sorry. Go ahead, Councillor Kent, with your point of order.
Question of order under clause 15.5. I submit that Councillor Russell's comments about we are just here ticking boxes or words to that effect constitute an act of disorder under clause 1511E, as they're likely to bring the council into disrepute, and I seek a ruling, please.
Yeah, I'll uphold that, Councillor. Please proceed, Councillor Russell.
Point of misrepresentation.
Okay. Do we have these? We can do in there? Okay, sorry. I'm just bouncing between old and new codes. Go ahead.
I said if it appears that council is just ticking the boxes. I didn't say that we were. I said if it appears that we are, where am I at in my speaking time, please,
Thank you.
Governance?
I'll reverse that uphold now that you've clarified. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mayor Fitzpatrick. We have a job to do, and it's a serious job. We know that we can defer this. We can employ an independent finance review panel. We can get the very best value for money, and then we know that we've got accurate data. We're not engaging in sunk cost fallacy of we've done a business case, but whoops, we missed a step. At this point is the point for us to lead this process on behalf of our community. We want local jobs for local people. I had constituents sending me through data on just how much money is leaving our shire at the moment because we are employing 90% of contractors on the panels we adopted over November and December out of this area. That is money that could be staying within our local area. We could be having local money, local jobs, and then that goes on, and the amount that it showed was that would then give $30 million back to our community if we were bringing jobs back in-house at market rates. That's a structural reform. And what do organisations do when they are facing structural challenges? Well, colleagues, what they do is they look at restructuring. They don't look at tinkering with levels of services. They look at strategic, top-down restructure, and that's our role. It's not AREC's role. AREC can only work with the material we give it.
Thank you, Councillor. Would anyone else? Councillor Champion, go ahead.
Through you, Mr Mayor, a question to Councillor Russell. Councillor Russell, did you share in any text form, email, chat, whatever, this amendment with the rest of the councillors at any point?
Councillor Champion, I only finished writing it just about 10 minutes ago, which is why I didn't. There were some parts that I'd worked on, but then when Councillor Kent's
Okay. Thank you.
notice of motion got changed, I had to
Thank you. That's
think fast.
sufficiently answered. Councillor Champion.
Thank you. Just one follow-up question, Mr. Mayor. Earlier, when you hadn't had a chance to look at one of the proposed changes that had been circulated by email, you said that you needed half an hour to review it. This is at least as long and also has an attached document. I can't see the entire amendment that you've made. Sorry, do you think that that everybody here should have half an hour to review this?
Absolutely, Councillor Champion. I move a procedural motion that we have. How about a 20-minute is probably a bit more reasonable. 20-minute break to read it. There isn't
Okay,
as much information.
Sorry, no, preamble. So we have a procedural motion, Councillor Moylan. Councillor Russell, you have a seconder for your 20-minute break? Okay, that has lapsed for one of a seconder. Councillor Moylan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. There has been a misunderstanding and misrepresentation made by Councillor Champion, if I may speak to that.
From your perspective?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, so generally speaking, Councillor Champion referred to or compared the time required for terms of reference compared to...
Sorry, Councillor, was that to you?
No, to Councillor Russell.
Just pause there a second. Governance, can we have someone speak for a misrepresentation for another councillor? Yeah, that wasn't directed at you, Councillor. So it wasn't a misrepresentation. If Councillor Russell feels the need to address that, she can address that. Thank you.
I think it would, I can assist
think, no,
the
we're going to move on.
situation.
That's my ruling. Thank you. Councillor Russell, if you can address that.
I will speak to
Okay,
that
go ahead.
misrepresentation. And Councillor Champion, I respect that you might want some time to read it. Through you, Mayor Fitzpatrick, to Councillor
look, it
Champion,
was-
through you, Mayor, how much time would you like
Councillor
to...
Russell,
would you like 10 minutes? Would 10
Councillor
minutes
Russell,
do?
you just moved the procedural motion. It was lapsed for one of a seconder, so that was the answer of the
I'll
council.
move a procedural motion, another one, that we have 10 minutes
Okay.
to read because it is only an amendment and there's not that much that's
Do we have
different.
a seconder? Councillor Moylan. Okay, we'll now put that to the vote. All those in favour? Councillor Champion, Councillor Duffy, Councillor Russell, Councillor Moylan, Councillor Farrell, Councillor Fairley. All those against? Councillor Kent, Councillor Smith, Councillor Fitzpatrick. That is carried. We will reconvene at 6:45. Keep going. Okay. We'll reconvene at 6:43. We were in the middle of an amendment by Councillor Russell. Would anyone like to speak to this? Okay, I'll now put this amendment. All those
Mayor?
in favour? Councillor Champion, Councillor Russell. Sorry? No, I'm saying all those in favour? Yep. Oh, apologies. Okay, so I'm putting the amendment. All those in favour was Councillor Duffy, Councillor Russell, Councillor Moylan. All those against? Councillor Champion, Councillor Farrell, Councillor Foley, Councillor Kent, Councillor Smith, Councillor Fitzpatrick. We're now back at the body of the motion, which is Councillor Kent's motion. Councillor Foley, have you spoken yet? Okay, go ahead.
Okay. I'd just like to respond to a couple of the comments around financial sustainability. And we know that financial sustainability for councils are not unique to Wingecarribee. The New South Wales Parliamentary Inquiry into local government funding was incredibly insightful into the challenges that we are truly facing. And those were echoed in the findings of our own business case. There were mentioned before of business cases. We do have a business case around our finances. So councils are facing growing cost pressures, cost shifting and significant revenue constraints. These pressures make it increasingly difficult to maintain services and infrastructure, often forcing councils to defer maintenance, delay upgrades and reduce service delivery. The inquiry was clear, and as our business case also confirms, these changes cannot be solved through financial discipline alone. And this brings me to some of the points that Councillor Duffy made as well, and I really take them on board, some really genuine points around the financial challenges that are facing some of our residents that we heard in some of the submissions. Councils like ours do fund many of the assets that communities rely on when times are tight. The library's completely free to use and they do incredible work for the community all year round. The community halls that support connection and belonging available at subsidised rates. The preschools that provide essential and incredible early childhood education at often heavily subsidised rates to families that really need it. And what I see is that so many of these assets that we have are failing, and it's not a fault of the current council or the previous council. There are so many other conditions that are causing our assets to fail, and these have a real cost. And that's what we're looking at when we're looking at an SRV. We're looking at the costs of it, not just the financial ones in your back pocket, but the costs of doing nothing. And we've already seen what can happen when we delay too long. Stafford Cottage is a great example. It fell into critical disrepair and became unsafe, causing Highlands Community Centres to vacate and now pay around $60,000 a year in commercial rent because the funds weren't there to do the repairs. It wasn't because we didn't want to do the repairs, it was because the funds weren't there. And I ask myself, what happens to our preschools or our community halls next, if that's what happens to them? What is the opportunity cost if the Barrel Town Hall has to be closed entirely? The cost of delaying is not abstract. It is borne directly by the people and the groups who use these assets, and these are often the people who are struggling, to generalise. It's not just buildings. We're also talking about the delay in millions that are allocated for road upgrades. I think there's $6 million in the first year. To pause now is not to halt just the conversation around the potential of an SRV, but it's around the potential funding that would unlock and work that makes a tangible difference for residents dealing with deteriorating roads and pothole-busted tyres. I just don't think that we should ask residents to wait any longer for more improvements on the roads, and I support having the hard conversations, and that's what we're talking about with the consultation. It's going out and having those hard conversations, not just to explain or inform, but to listen, and that's why I really support this motion.
Thank you. Councillor Farrell, Councillor Smith, Councillor Farrell, Councillor Moylan.
Okay, thank you. And I think it's been fantastic to have some robust debate and discussion on this very important issue. I really commend Councillor Kent for attempting to find a creative way to deal with this issue. I think Councillor Champion and Councillor Foley have spoken really clearly to this. I think for me, I want to make it clear that we are listening to the community, and that's the reason why I included the options around the finance committee because that was something I was against before. But I've heard loud and clear how people feel, and so I think we really need to take that seriously. And we've got a lot more of that to do on a range of issues. I think as well, something like this is not anything any of us want to do, but we're here to be responsible and we're here to make the hard decisions for the longer term. So I think by putting this out on exhibition, on getting feedback and then being really serious about engaging with community, not just now, but over the longer term is really critical. And so, yeah, I'm in support of this.
Thank you. Councillor Farrell is next.
Procedural motion, Mayor. Sorry to cut off Councillor Farrell. I just wanted to foreshadow that I have sent through 3 amendments to governance.
More amendments?
Yes.
Okay, that's not a procedural motion. Go ahead, Councillor Farrell.
First of all, I want to thank Councillor Kent for his effort to he's bringing this to debate so that we can think about it at least. That was a worthwhile amendment that he put up. And also, I just want to echo what Councillor Foley just said. I couldn't agree more with what she said.
Thank you. Councillor Moylan.
Through you, Mr Mayor, to Councillor Foley, when you quoted the financial advisor who said efficiencies alone are unlikely to fix this problem, do you acknowledge that the financial advisor was not briefed on how to find efficiencies and quantify efficiencies? So he could not, of course, they couldn't fix this problem if they were never quantified?
Councillor Foley.
I can acknowledge that. I can also acknowledge that in our attachments today, we have a cost containment and productivity plan that addresses that.
Thank you.
Well, sorry, to specify, it addresses potential cost containments going forward.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak to this? Councillor Champion.
Thank you. I would like to acknowledge Deputy Mayor Foley's comments on this. I think it was very well expressed, the problems that we're facing here, and I want to reiterate, particularly around Stafford Cottage. I've thought about this a lot, and I've realised that Stafford Cottage really is so emblematic of the problem that we're facing. We are talking, when we talk about the loss and the degradation of our infrastructure, we're not just talking about buildings facing catastrophic decline. We are talking about the loss of community capacity and the on-flowing ripples that we face there. And I think it's really important that we don't delay this difficult conversation. And I also want to reiterate, this is a conversation with the community, not a decision right now. This is the beginning of that conversation. Community members deserve the opportunity to understand the choices that are realistically before us. The consultation is not a question of, do you want rates to increase, yes or no? Nobody wants higher rates. I don't want higher rates. I don't think anyone here wants higher rates. The real question is, what services do we want? What infrastructure are we prepared to maintain? What level of deterioration are we prepared to accept? What trade-offs are we willing to make? And how can we incorporate those into our long-term plan and vision for our community? So I support the motion as it is.
Thank you. Councillor Russell.
I would like to move the amendment that I foreshadowed through the governance on the sale yards, if you can find that, the SRLX amendment.
Councillor Moylan, did you have a question in the meantime?
No, I have an amendment.
If I haven't sent it through, I think I sent it through. Have you found it? I'll have a look myself.
Is it a short one, Councillor Russell?
Yeah.
Do you want to just read it out?
I'm just finding it myself. I'll do a different one first, because I've got to find out where that one is. And I will acknowledge this is where I'm acknowledging that to meet community expectations, in relation to my relationship with Penrose Community Association, I am not a current member. So the amendment, foreshadowed amendment, is to 8.1.1 is to Penrose. It just says, move it with the following changes: that Penrose Community Association pay $500 per annum to cover the costs of their annual use of the hall, e.g. meetings, singing, speakeasy, morning teas. Sorry?
Through you, Mr Mayor. Councillor Russell, could you just point us to where you would like that in the motion that's before council? Thank you.
It's the second point. I guess you put it under point D.
So, Councillor, will that be a so just with the one that Councillor Kent moved, he reallocated the money so that, so I guess he found the money for this one. Is there a loss associated to this out of the budget? Like, if this was to go through, is there a net loss?
I think it's a few $100s, Mayor. It's not a. It could be taken out of.
It still has to be accounted for. So I'll just check with governance with the new code.
Yes, PR.
We just
Council's
need
PR
some
budget.
clarity.
Sorry?
Is this a fee that you're proposing be charged?
Be changed.
Be changed?
Yeah, changed to.
So if there's a loss governance with back to the original, now that we're back at the original code of meeting practice, I do believe there has to be a cost identified. If you can identify the original fee, Councillor Russell.
I think it was in the. It's about $1,000, I think, for the original. I'm sorry, it's been a lot to digest. It's in the community submissions. The chair of Penrose.
No, I mean
also
within the budget.
Yep.
Can you identify the charge?
I think it's we're charging them. It's somewhere between $800 and $1,000, so it's a matter of a few $100s. You can take it from the unused budget for councillor training.
So, Councillor, I'm really going to need you to identify it within the budget.
It's in the fees and charges.
Because we're struggling to find.
Shall we have a procedural? Shall we have a 10-minute break? I move a procedural motion then for 10-minute break, so we can find this exact amount.
Got a seconder for that? Councillor Moylan, all those in favour? Councillor Moylan, Councillor Russell, Councillor Foley, all those against? Councillor Chairman, Councillor Duffy, Councillor Farrell, Councillor Kent, Councillor Smith, Councillor Fitzpatrick. We'll continue. I'm going to urge you to find it, please, Councillor.
I will.
Okay, go ahead, Charlie. Sure. For procedural motion, 5-minute break. I have a seconder. Councillor Duffy, all those in favour? Councillor Champion, Councillor Duffy, Councillor Moylan, Councillor Russell, Councillor Foley. All those against? Councillor Farrell, Councillor Kent, Councillor Smith. That is 1. So we will have it. We'll return at 7:03. And just to clarify governance for back in the original motion, we've had speak Councillor Kent for, Councillor Foley for, Councillor Duffy against and Councillor Moylan against. Is that correct?
Mr Mayor?
Yes?
Correction. I said that I was speaking to it. I would wait until I heard the whole debate before I was for or against it.
I don't think you get afforded another opportunity to speak, but I'll just check with governance.
Yes, so I'm not for or against it. I spoke to it, and I'll wait until I hear the rest of the debate. And when I vote, that's when I'll be either for or against. So I can't be counted in the tally for the put to vote clause.
We'll continue, but I'll just get governance to check on that provision while we continue on with Councillor Russell's amendment.
So after consultation with the Director of Service and Project Delivery, he alerted me, for your information, Mayor Fitzpatrick, he alerted me to the standing clause that was present for Exeter due to the gifting of the CWA land. So in the meantime, what I have done is I've found the amendment relating to the sale yards that I was initially looking for.
So we're disregarding the first one?
We
Okay.
are.
All right, and have we got that on screen?
I just sent it through to governance. I sent it through as governance. I should send it through as Danielle, and I can read it out.
And is your next one with governance as well?
This one is, yeah.
So we can just flow on?
Okay, and I can read it out. So into that section, we would be, after the points about the Hilltop toilet, and isn't it great, Hilltop residents, that you too can have a public toilet now? We're slowly ticking the boxes.
Sorry, Councillor, I'll just get you to give us the amendment, please.
Under that, if you put in maybe a second section, because we want to have it that the fees and charges be amended to, and then colon 1, remove the proposed yarding fee from 12 p.m. Friday through to 6 a.m. Monday, in acknowledgement that this is part of council's costs to council in delivering council a profitable business. Just that.
And because this has a loss attached to it, Councillor, from the projected financials, are you supplicating the loss with somewhere?
We can take it from unused councillor training money, perhaps, or we can take it from.
It's your amendment, Councillor.
Yeah, that's what I'm suggesting. Or would the general manager like to suggest somewhere else?
No, General, it's your amendment.
I would say that's one. Or no, I know, just the revenue from the sale yards revenue. So we've had expanding sales, and we won't lose them this way.
So look, I don't want to craft your amendment, but you're suggesting that you have what you're wording, and then, and I'll just check with governance that it's sound, and that the projected money lost is then just it eats into the profit of the.
Part of the business cost of running the sale yards. Yes.
Is that a possibility, governance, or to the
sales are projected?
General Manager, do you have any comment on that?
Mr Mayor, it would just be an offset in the reduction of the income, and I would make the point that the income's actually used to reinvest into the sale yards. Thank you.
Okay. I know that before we didn't have to identify a cost, but because we're back to reverted to the original one, we do have to do that, just procedurally.
Mayor Fitzpatrick, I know you're just doing your job.
Okay, we good there? Councillor Kent, do you accept that?
No.
Need a seconder, please? Councillor Moylan, Councillor Russell.
I would like to thank and acknowledge the work and involvement of the producers, the agents, the carriers, our council staff and the buyers who are increasingly coming from out of area to our beautiful Southern Highlands that are all key to the growing success and efficient productivity of our Southern Regional Livestock Exchange. There is no doubt that our sale yards are a success story for council. As the numbers have grown, Director, you'll be pleased to hear that the feedback that I am getting from the user groups is that council management has worked hard to ensure that council has engaged extra staff and contractors to manage the growing need. We're running this in a professional manner and it's really appreciated by the user groups. The feedback I'm getting is really positive. For us to maintain industry standards and our competitive edge, we need to stay consistent with similar costs to sell and operate as other sale yards in the state. As the staff answers to the councillor questionnaire identified, this is not practiced elsewhere. And we know that when things get tough, like if people have to make concessions in their transport costs, they will look at who's delivering the cheapest service. I do not want us to lose our competitive edge, and that's at risk. Let's not squash the golden goose here. It's part of our service. Currently, we are operating as the sale yards of choice. When something ain't broke, don't put a fee on it. In this particular instance, it's up to industry standards, and we want to maintain that. It's not done elsewhere that a fee like this is placed on another sale yard. So I'll reiterate, this will ensure that we retain market share and continue the excellent growth we have had over the past few years following upgrades by state funding.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak to this? Councillor Kent.
Just a question to the General Manager through you, Mr Mayor. Is this charge in place today, the one that is being proposed to be removed, is it in place today? And if so, has it been, how long has it been in place?
General Manager.
Through you, Mr Mayor. Manager, Business and Property, thank you.
Through you, General Manager. It's a proposed new charge, and this is specific for our sale yards in the fact that we have a lot of cattle that sit around for a lot of time post-sale. So this is unique to the Southern Highlands. If you compared it to Wagga or Dubbo or some of the other sale yards, the cattle move there they arrive on sale day or the night before, and then they're gone after the sale. In our sale yards, the cattle can sit there for days on end. The agents use it to wean cattle. That has a real cost for us because we have soft flooring. So if you've been out there after a big rain event, our yards are muddy. So the guys can't get on to clean it. We have road base and mulch, which is a real cost. So if you've got cattle sitting there for days on end, when it's not for the sale, it's outside of the sale, it's incurring cost for our sale yards.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Molan.
I'll speak to this amendment. Thank you, Mr Mayor. I highly support Councillor Russell in this amendment. Farmers are being hit the hardest, as we know, in this cost of living crisis, fuel crisis, and they will be hit the hardest again with any of these rate increases. And the reason cattle are sitting there for days is because neighbouring sale yards have been closed. So we need to do everything we can to support our farmers. They feed the area and they are coping with a lot more than residents and businesses may ever realise. So I commend Councillor Russell for supporting our farmers, supporting our stock exchange and supporting the region.
Thank you. And so I speak to this. Okay, I'll now put this amendment. All those in favour? Councillor Duffy, Councillor Russell, Councillor Moylan. All those against? Councillor Champion, Councillor Farrell, Councillor Foley, Councillor Kent, Councillor Smith, Councillor Patrick. We are now back at the main body. Who would else like to speak to this?
I have a question, Mayor Fitzpatrick, through you to the General Manager. Was any risk analysis done or any consultation with the user groups before the proposal of this charge in the draft papers?
General Manager.
Through you, Mr Mayor, to Ms Park.
Not directly on this particular charge.
Okay,
Then I
yes.
have a following, another amendment, that we establish a quarterly forum, that we defer the levying so where we were, I'll just add a bit to it. So defer the imposition Yeah. Thank you, Paige. I appreciate your agility in this, at this hour. Defer the imposition of the yarding fee from 12 p.m. Friday through to 6 a.m. Monday at the sale yards. And then until a risk assessment has been undertaken and consultation with all user groups of the sale yards. That's it.
Okay, do you accept this, Councillor Kent?
No.
Councillor, you'll need a seconder. Councillor Moylan, Councillor Russell, go ahead.
I'm sorry to, at this hour of the night, just keep on pushing this, but our sale yards are currently the sale yards of choice, but that's not necessarily going to stay that way if we impose this charge. So this is just, it's not saying we're not going to do it, it's just saying that at this stage we're going to defer that because we've acknowledged we haven't done a risk analysis or a sensitivity analysis on how this could affect our business model. And it's our job as councillors to oversee risks. Now, the sale yards is our cash cow. We have hard-working farmers who are out in all weathers, people who drive cattle. This is a hard industry. People work really hard. We're not sitting behind desks. They're not sitting behind desks. They're out in all weathers, and we as a council make a significant profit from that. So if we have to put in a bit of extra resourcing for our business model to make sure that we are still the provider of choice, then let's just defer this till we've checked out that this is going to make sure that we keep our positioning and keep our profit margins where we need them to be.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Kent.
Question, please, to the General Manager through you. Isn't this additional amendment just a repeat of what we've already talked about? We talked about whether there'd be a yardage fee. We said no. Now we're saying defer the yardage fee.
It has changed because it's been deferred. It has changed, the amendment, yeah, that's allowed. So, anyone else like to speak to this? Okay, I now put this amendment. All those in favour? Councillor Duffy, Councillor Russell, Councillor Moylan. All those against? Councillor Champion, Councillor Farrell, Councillor Foley, Councillor Kent, Councillor Smith, Councillor Patrick. That is lost. We're now back at the body. Would else like to speak to this? Okay, I'll now put this motion. I've called it, Councillor. All those in favour? Governance. I've put the motion. I've put the motion.
Can a motion be put before there's been 2 for and 2 against? Because I haven't actually spoken to it.
Councillor, I made the call.
Yes, I know,
No
but,
one was received. I've now
but
put
it's the Code
motion.
of Meeting
I'm
Practice,
just going to
Mayor.
pause, Councillor.
Motion of
Governance.
dissent.
Governance. Can I get a ruling on this that I put the motion after I called for any more speakers? We'll put the motion.
Motion of dissent.
Councillor, Governance, do I need to deal with the motion first and do the dissent? Do the dissent? Okay. We have a motion of dissent from Councillor Russell that I didn't... Oh, go ahead, Councillor, go ahead.
So, Mayor Fitzpatrick, within the Code of Meeting Practice, in order to be able to put the motion as you did, you need to have checked that there have been 2 speakers for and 2 against, and we have not met that criteria.
That's not what I put it under. I said, would anyone else like to speak? There was silence, and I said, I'll now put this motion.
In terms of just checking you on that, and if you want me to
You've got a
refer-
motion of dissent, that's okay.
Yes, I've
we can
got a
check that.
motion of dissent,
Yes.
and under the Code of Meeting Practice, you can't put a motion, as in you can't put a motion, Mayor
I can
Fitzpatrick.
when there is no,
If-
when no one rises to speak after I've called for it, then I can. So I'm going to put the motion of dissent. All those in favour of Councillor Russell's dissent, Councillor Russell, you're voting for your dissent? Councillor Moylan, all those against? Councillor Champion, Councillor Duffy, Councillor Farrell, Councillor Foley, Councillor Kent, Councillor Smith, Councillor Patrick. We will now put this motion. All those in favour?
I move a motion of dissent, Mr Mayor.
Okay, the same.
No, I'll speak, thank you.
I'm sorry, I was in the middle of a vote. So let me address this first. So I'd already taken the against, and now I'm taking the all those 4. I'll take all those 4. Let me back up. I'm now putting this motion. All those in favour of the motion. Councillor Champion. Councillor.
Excuse me, Mr Mayor, I had
So
a
listen-
motion of dissent. Are we voting on the motion of dissent or the
Because you
motion?
cut me off on the motion in the middle of taking the vote, I'll finish the vote and then you can move your motion of dissent. So what we are putting is the budget motion. So this is the entire thing in front of you now. I will now put this budget
Excuse me,
motion.
Mr Mayor, I was moving a motion
Councillor,
of dissent on your
Councillor.
ruling for
Councillor,
Councillor Russell.
You're not to speak when the chair is speaking, and I've just said that we will put the motion, then I'll address your thing because you called it in the middle of me taking the vote. I'm going to finish taking the vote and then we'll address your dissent. So all those in favour of this motion, Councillor Champion, Councillor Duffy, Councillor Farrell, Councillor Foley, Councillor Kent, Councillor Smith, Councillor Patrick. All those against, Councillor Russell, Councillor Moylan, that is carried. Councillor Moylan, Councillor Kent, that is carried. Councillor Moylan, you have a dissent.
Yes, my motion of dissent was on the ruling against Councillor Russell. Mr Mayor, when you have the opportunity to look back through the video, you will notice that there was a split-second opportunity for other councillors to put forward any amendments, and I have a line-up of amendments. Secondly, there has been, and I stated this twice tonight, there has been a misuse of the put-to-vote clause. I specifically said I am not speaking to, for,
Councillor,
or
again,
against
I'm
it.
going to cut you off there because I did not use that clause to put it. I said, would anyone like to speak to this? There was silence. I then moved to put the motion. So you've made your case. I will now put your dissent. All those in favour of Councillor Moylan's dissent?
I haven't finished speaking to my motion of dissent, Mr Mayor.
Okay, continue on, Councillor.
Thank you very much. I do appreciate it. There was a split-second window of opportunity for any councillors to put forward amendments on a $3.3 billion asset budget, a $200 million budget, which is affecting 53,000 residents, which we have had only a few days to
Thank you,
review,
Councillor. Look, I'm going to
including...
call you to order. You seem to be debating the budget, not the ruling I made, the dissent. So I am now going to put this dissent. All those in favour of the dissent, Councillor Russell and Councillor Moylan. All those against, Councillor Champion, Councillor Duffel, Councillor Farrell, Councillor Foley, Councillor Kent, Councillor Smith. That is moved on. I will now move a procedural motion that we bring the heritage item forward because there have been 2 people waiting a very long time.
I would like to, you're
So
in the
I will
procedural motion.
get a seconder for that. Councillor Smith, all those in favour? Councillor Champion, Councillor Duffy, Councillor Farrell, Councillor Foley, Councillor Kent, Councillor Smith, Councillor Fitzpatrick. All those against? Councillor Russell, Councillor Moylan. Did you flag a break? Oh, you have a conflict? Okay. We'll now move on to, what item is that? 8.2.2. Councillor Champion, would you like to move this?
I'd like to move this with a change, please, Mr Mayor.
Change.
And I have sent this through to governance. And it is that council, point 1, defer consideration of planning proposal PP-2024-2040 and the Wingecarribee Community Heritage Study until the ordinary meeting of council in July 2026.
Okay, governance, is that a procedural motion or is that that's a normal motion? Okay, sorry. Yep, that's all good. I get a seconder for that, please. Councillor Smith. Okay, Councillor Champion, go ahead.
Thank you. I am deeply grateful to the people who are still in the gallery and who were here earlier, who have worked for years in a voluntary capacity to pull together this study. We're in an area that's facing enormous population and development pressures from the expanding suburbia of outer Sydney, and the character and uniqueness of the area is extremely important for residents to retain. We are facing pressures that would turn this place into an endless sea of gutter-to-gutter identical boxes, and people live here partly for the character, charm and size of our towns. Heritage is one of the key tools we have to retain that character and charm. It also honours our history, and as one of the earliest areas settled by European colonists outside of Sydney, we have some unique and meaningful history in our built environment. While each individual property listed in this document is owned by a different landholder, heritage is a shared good, and it has tangible, meaningful impacts on everyone who lives, visits and works in our region. It creates a sense of who we are and where we've come from. It provides amenity, interest, character, economic benefits, well-being, opportunities for learning, and connects us with our past in tangible, experiential ways that books can't provide. I also strongly support Council exploring the further heritage supports that have been mentioned and discussed in Mr Dennis McManus's presentation in the public forum. Having said all of that, the reason for my proposal of a deferral here is that I feel an obligation to understand and assess the procedural fairness issues raised by affected landholders. I do not believe that the time pressure we have experienced in this meeting does good service to appropriate decision-making or to effective protections of heritage, and I put it to you that we can consider this in a month's time once we've had more opportunities to consult.
Thank you. Would I like to speak to this? Councillor Moylan.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I understand the intention of this initiative, and it's to preserve and enhance the heritage character of our villages and towns. But the success of this depends on one critical thing, and that is the discretion and judgment of heritage specialists who are employees for this whole proposal to succeed. I have probity queries, similar to Councillor Champion, on the procedure to include properties on the listing and how it is applied retrospectively. I understand we currently have a heritage consultant. We need to make sure that heritage consultant does not advise but merely recommends. When reviewing applications, we need to have the most absolute integrity, and we need to have an arm's length review of these sorts of applications and if they turn into a dispute. It can't be down to one person, so that means we need at least 3 people or more to make sure that we have that integrity and probity in place. This also needs time to be properly operationalised, and the relevant departments need to be integrated so that this works. We have seen how the implementation of it can sometimes unfairly impact residents, like the Broughton-Challinor family, and we need to make sure that we get the most out of this proposal, but also protecting property owners. Yes, this is an initiative of 17 years, and yes, we all love our heritage character. However, as a nation and a shire, we love our property owners' rights to be protected more. There is a window of opportunity here, however, for us to set this up for success, and I really want this to succeed. So to do that, we must give the General Manager time to prepare to implement this, and I think the General Manager needs that space to work out processes internally, to recruit or upskill existing staff appropriately so that the program can be fully implemented, and a reviewer. Our residents deserve both their property ownership rights and their heritage character at the same time. And for that reason, I have an amendment to move, Mr Mayor.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. That council defer the adoption planning proposal PP-2024-2040, subject to Roman numeral 1, the General Manager arranging a workshop for the councillors on heritage protection matters in the Shire, semicolon.
Could I just pause here? Could I just get a show of hands of who wants to go to 8 and who would like to reconvene tomorrow? Because at this point I have to move a procedural motion beyond 7:30. If all those, all those in favour, we can go to 8. Go to 8. Go to 8. Yep. Okay. I move a procedural motion that we. What are my words? Extend the meeting till 8 p.m. Apologies, Councillor Moylan. I'll get a seconder. Councillor Kent. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Continue on, Councillor Moylan. Sorry for interrupting.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. So Roman numeral 2. Workshop for the councillors on heritage protection matters in the Shire. Roman numeral 2, a public forum for residents to address councillors who may be included in the heritage listing. Semicolon. And Roman numeral 3, the General Manager has completed the operationalisation of this proposal, including but not limited to the recruitment of or cross-training of existing staff in specialist heritage matters and an arm's length review process.
Okay. Councillor Kent, you have your hand up?
Sorry, Mr Mayor, I'll speak to my amendment unless Councillor Kent.
A second, Councillor Kent had his hand up.
I was just going to ask a question to the General Manager through you.
On this, I'll
Yep.
just get a seconder first.
Okay.
Could I get a seconder? Councillor Russell. I'll let Councillor Moylan speak and then I'll go to you for your question. Councillor Moylan.
Thank you, Mr Mayor, I do appreciate it. This is a very special proposal. It is the culmination of 17 years of very hard work, of very dedicated residents. And I strongly support preserving the heritage in our Shire. However, it does depend on the program that the panel have suggested. And I do think we need to get that right for this to be set up for success. So it's critical that we recruit the right people and that we implement the processes that will support this in its entirety. Secondly, this has come before us without any background information. Some of you may have already received information, but this is the first time I've seen it. So I think councillors will benefit from a workshop to understand heritage matters more fully and understand the whole picture here. Lastly, as I said, the staff will be the critical point in setting this up for success. And it is critical that we have a review process that works and is at arm's length from the heritage specialists so that everything is working together and is integrated. And the heritage team are also talking to the flood team, for instance, and everything works together so we can make sure that this 17-year initiative delivers what it always hoped to deliver, and we are working as one as a shire rather than having property owners versus heritage. We don't want that. We want it to all work, and each matter needs to be addressed and considered on its merits, and that takes people and the right people with exceptional judgment and discretion. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Champion. Oh, sorry, I did say I'll go to Councillor Kent. Go ahead.
Thank you. Question to General Manager through you, please, Mr Mayor. General Manager, are you comfortable with the materials in the business paper on this item and the processes that have been undertaken to reach where we are today?
General Manager.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. What I would say, or make the observation, that this has been a decade and a bit in the making, with significant community and staff input. I'll ask Mr McCabe, he's been more intimately involved in this with his team, but I would make the point that as an organisation we don't work in silos, we work across the organisation and we are one organisation. And I've got the confidence in the management team that that's how they work in terms of making sure we get input across the different disciplines within the organisation. Mr McCabe, could you make a comment, please, on the process? And you may want to touch on resourcing and what's in the adopted now operational plan.
Through you, General Manager, in principle, yes, is my answer to the comfort of information. In relation to how we've got here, I mean, it's been a staff-led project sponsored by the community and involved independent expert heritage planners. Owners consultation started in 2023, and there's independent peer review in 2024. There was subsequent independent peer review by someone else in 2026. We've had some representations in the public forum today about people's request for deferral or removal being refused by the local planning panel. That is not the case. The Wingecarribee Local Planning Panel is an advisory panel only on planning proposals. It is actually up to council to make those decisions, and the recommendations in front of you are from staff based on that whole process.
Councillor Kent.
Could you please touch on the plan that's embedded in the budget around a heritage officer and support should this be approved?
Through you, General Manager, we do have in the operational plan 2026-27 an action, and that action is, if you bear with me a minute, and that's action 2.2.3.1, and that is to review heritage resourcing for our council. I totally agree that our service and our resourcing should be better, should be improved, and should do the Shire justice. So there is a deadline for that resourcing to be in place by December in 2026. And obviously, because it is an operational plan action, councillors will be, the reporting of that will be to councillors.
Okay. I'll go, Councillor Moylan. Oh, sorry, you had another question, Councillor. Then we'll go Councillor
I've just got two more. Question to you, General Manager, through the Mayor, please. The Director, Councillor Moylan mentioned that this material, or the heritage material, I'm paraphrasing, but really just came out with the business papers last week. I recall that the Director of Communities in Place actually sent us a communication on this material I'm going to say 3 weeks ago and encouraged us to start peeling the onion, but can somebody please confirm my memory?
General Manager.
Through Mr Mayor, but not clear about the onion, but Mr McCabe, could you cover off on when the information was provided? Thank you.
Through you, General Manager, I believe it was the 27th of May was the local planning panel meeting, of which the documents were published a week prior to that, of which councillors were advised around that time of all the documentation in draft. And I encouraged all councillors to review the documentation, to attend the local panel meeting, to watch the recording of the local planning panel meeting, because it is such an important planning proposal. And since that local planning panel meeting, there has been a few edits in relation to items post that process.
Thank you.
Last question. Mr McCabe, I understand in terms of the gateway determination that the clock is ticking, if you like. This has been sort of decades in the making, this work, and I understand there's a deadline in September sometime. You could just explain, if I'm right, and what the implications are of missing it.
General Manager to Mr McCabe.
Through you, General Manager, that is correct. One of the attachments in your papers shows the gateway extension notification, which gives the gateway an expiry date of 30 September. And what that means is the LEP must be made by that date. Otherwise, it is unlikely that there'll be another extension to the planning proposal. And when I say the LEP must be made, that is legislated. So what is required after a council decision is then confirmation and reconciliation with the department on all the documentation to make sure it is entirely accurate, that there are no errors, and then it is legislated, which takes a while in itself. So what I would say is the time frame to determine this based on the current PP is extremely slim. The recommendations before you tonight are to make a decision on that.
Councillor Moylan.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Question through you to the General Manager. Why did we not receive a workshop on this versus an FYI on a chat group from the Director?
General Manager.
Yep. Through you, Mr Mayor, under the Code of Meeting Practice, we're unable to have briefings on matters that are coming to the... Sorry, Councillor.
Just correction, workshop.
Yes, if I could finish what I was saying. So under the Code of Meeting Practice, we can't have briefings or workshops, whatever you want to call it, on a matter that is coming right before council, is the subject of a council report that is coming, because that would be considered to be a pre-meeting briefing. We have strategy sessions, we have learning and development, but where it's immediately preceding an item coming onto the agenda of council, that would not be in accordance with the Code of Meeting Practice. Just while I'm speaking though, Councillor Moylan, if I could take the opportunity just to clarify point 2 of your proposed amendment. Could you please clarify, just to assist governance, what you mean by public forum? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I will address a misunderstanding, if I may, Mr Mayor, before I answer the General Manager's direct question. So what I'm looking for and asking for is why wasn't information about heritage provided to councillors well before this meeting, so not just before the meeting. I'm fully aware of the regulations around pre-meeting briefings. A workshop, a strategy session, months before, similar to what we do with a lot of other subject matters. Why, for this one, did we not receive that opportunity for information?
General Manager.
Through you, Mr Mayor, there are two ways that we work up the strategy and learning and development program for all the councillors. Part of it is what's coming up in terms of changes to legislation. We have provided to councillors Planning 101, if you'd like to put it that way. I have not received a request from any councillor about information to have a session on heritage. More than happy to arrange that. I believe we had the Planning 101 session in February or March, and that was to supplement the handbook that all councillors received when you were onboarded in late 2024-25, and that's available on your councillor portal. So more than happy, councillor, to arrange sessions, learning and development or strategy sessions on any topic. And I believe Dr Lidgard has sent out a survey, it was either earlier this year or end of last year, seeking feedback. So always open to that. Thank you.
Okay, and this answer to the question?
Yes, Mr Mayor, thank you. I'll just address a misunderstanding again. Obviously, we don't know that heritage is coming up, so we don't know then to ask for information, background information. Just to reassure the General Manager, what I'm asking for is why we weren't given background information on whether it's a workshop, a strategy session, whatever we want to call it, so that we can be fully prepared for this moment. And not just have an FYI on the chat group. I understand that's very familiar, but we really would benefit from that workshop before
so, Councillor,
today.
you were clarifying, and then to answer the question.
Yes, to answer the question, I think it's very important that councillors, one, understand heritage matters just outside of the DA 101, as the General Manager referred to, understand this very highly specialised area. But two, we need to also understand.
Sorry, Councillor, I'm just going to cut you off there. So the General Manager just asked if you could describe what the public forum means or what you want. You seem to be talking to something else at the moment.
Mr Mayor, I was prefacing. So the public, I was saying that we need to understand heritage matters, but we also need to understand the other side of it, which is the public and the residents and their perspective on this. And I appreciate the invitation to the planning meeting. However, I genuinely think that we need to hear from
Councillor
residents
Moylan,
directly.
I'm just going to interject. Could you please describe for us or for the General Managers, just so I have clarity around a public forum for residents? Are you just wanting that interpreted by the GM? Are you wanting to specify what that looks like? We don't have to answer. It's your amendment.
Sure, I understand. Thank you, Mr Mayor. I do appreciate it. The thrust of this is to hear from residents. I would like the councillors to understand heritage matters and hear from residents.
Okay, thank you.
So see both sides of this story.
Okay, thank you. General Manager, you had something to say?
Yep, thank you, Mr Mayor. I just would like to remind councillors each quarter we send out a quarter ahead, which provides you all with what's coming up in the next 3 to 4 months. On the 27th of February, as part of the quarter ahead, we did list the heritage study was coming to council. So what I would do is encourage, if you see things in that quarter ahead that prompts you and you think I need to know more of that, if you could please let me know, let Dr Lidgard or Ms Jones know, and we can arrange those sessions. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Councillor Champion.
Through you, Mr Mayor, a question to the General Manager, please. If this current amendment that's on the table were to be implemented, would it be possible to execute this before the gateway closure?
General Manager.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. It's really a question for Mr McCabe and the resourcing of his team. Thank you.
Through you, General Manager, I mean, number one, it's somewhat vague because it talks about heritage protection matters, not the PP directly. And then there's a public forum which has to have reasonable time. And then is the question, the third question, of those resources being in place in point 3 before. overall, I'd say no, and it doesn't seem to have much clarity on time frame as well.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Smith.
Thank you. A question through you, Mr. Mayor, of the General Manager. If we were to just have instead a deferral for 1 month as per the original suggestion and just point one, a workshop for councillors in that session, would that affect our ability to meet the gateway? Would that be possible?
General Manager.
Mr McCabe.
Through you, General Manager, I believe a decision on this should be made tonight. In the absence of that, I think July is your deadline.
Councillor Smith.
Just a question through you, Mr. Mayor, of the General Manager. We heard tonight specifically from Berida Hotel. I think that it seemed as if their situation was slightly different to others. If we had a deferral, would that allow for the review or editing of any more contentious or areas of confusion?
General Manager.
Mr McCabe.
For you, General Manager, I don't see our recommendations as contentious from a staff perspective. What I will say about the Berida Hotel, they presented constructively to the Wingecarribee Local Planning Panel on the 27th of March. They weren't refused. They were actually advised that a report would be coming to council, and for them to, if they wanted to be constructive, they would have to do it fast. And that is what they have done. They've given reports this week, post the publishing of the council report, of which staff have considered, and their request for a part curtilage rather than a whole lot, we believe we could accommodate as part of a planning proposal. In relation to other items, we don't see a change in our recommendation.
General Manager, just with what I nearly said Minister then, I'm tired. Mr McCabe said then, is that something that has to be resolved, or is that something, in consideration of Berida Manor being different, is that something that have to be resolved, or is it something that can be done beyond this meeting?
And thank you, Mr Mayor. Mr McCabe, could you explain the process? And I'm noting the time at 7:51.
Excuse me, Mr Mayor, just a procedural matter, given the time, and I will interrupt. I do have another amendment to make that I think will resolve this issue.
So you can retract your amendment?
No, I'll make an amendment to this amendment.
We've got to deal with this one, so you can retract it and start again?
Okay.
Okay, we're going to retract that amendment, and I'll get you to just give us the words of your next one.
So it's the same,
Yep.
and then point 4, or so semicolon after review process, thank you. Roman numeral 4, next paragraph. The gateway determination being rescheduled for 4 months from now.
So, Councillor, we don't determine that. That's, as you just heard, that's legislative, so I can't accept that. I'm sorry.
I have a question, Mayor Fitzpatrick.
Sorry, so hang on,
about
let me just, apologies, just let me catch up. So now we're back at the body of the motion, which is Councillor Champion's, Can we pull that back up, please? So you just to clarify, I can't allow that amendment to come. I just want to go back to Mr McCabe's commentary around Berida. So again, was that something that needs a resolution to implement, or is that something that staff can do beyond this meeting without a resolution?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Mr McCabe, again, would you mind explaining the mechanics of that, noting it's 7:53? Thank you.
Through you, General Manager, an amendment would have to be made at council, because at the moment it's based on a planning proposal with proposed published content. So that content would have to be amended. So for Berida Hotel at the moment, in the schedule it refers to lot 17 of SP 36297, If the wording's around that being changed to part of lot, that would suffice, and there'd also have to be reference to the mapped curtilage that was supplied by Weir Phillips Heritage.
Okay. Okay.
Mayor Fitzpatrick, I have a question about the timeframes for the gateway determination, and you may have explained it before. What is the latest that when you say July, what is that, the 1st of July? We would have to make this decision by the 1st of July in order to make the gateway?
I believe it's
timeframe?
about July council meeting.
So we'd have to make the decision at the July council meeting. That wouldn't be too late to make the gateway?
General Manager?
What's the latest is what I
Mr
need.
McCabe.
Through you, General Manager, I would not want to quote that is not too late. I'm recommending to you tonight.
I hear your recommendation.
So-
Director, I need to know so that we can do our due diligence. I know that you might be done with it, but there's a number of details in
Councillor
there.
Russell, I wouldn't indicate that the director is done with it. But
Yes.
what he means
Well,
is...
I need to know
I'm just going to cut you off
what's the
there. I
timeframes.
don't appreciate you saying that the director's done with it. I think that's not a good comment to make. The director is simply saying that he has to go through a process to then submit it to the state, and he can't commit that July meeting would or wouldn't be enough time. I think he's sufficiently answered you.
Oh, through you, Mayor Fitzpatrick, to the General Manager, and I would like to say to the Director, I appreciate
Okay,
your
so have you got a
workload.
question?
Yes, I do. If we were to hold an extraordinary general meeting between now and the July meeting, could we say in the first week of July, could that be respecting your need to have a bit more space and equally meet our need to do our work?
General Manager?
Through you, Mr Mayor, what I would say is that Mr McCabe and Ms Linton has been looking at me as well in terms of what is doable within the time frame. So it's, Mr McCabe, could you explain?
Through you, General Manager, it's not about staff space. It's not about our tolerance to the planning proposal. This is about a gateway deadline imposed on us by the Minister for this planning proposal. If you don't make a decision on it, the gateway will lapse and the planning proposal will be lost. To make that gateway decision, it clearly says in the attachment that the LEP, which is a legislative change, has to be made by 30 September. For that to occur, we need all the documentation to the department well in advance. That's what I'm saying.
Councillor Moylan?
Mr Mayor, through you to the General Manager, given the timeframes of July, I ask again, why were councillors not provided the information in a workshop well before now? And why has this only come to council now at the very last moment, not affording councillors time to have the opportunity to learn about this? And
Stating what we've been through several times.
Yeah, look, I do believe that the General Manager, in the first part of your question, the second part of your question was, why is it being brought now? General Manager, you have some comments on that?
Mr Mayor, what I would say is that the staff have competing priorities. They've worked incredibly hard to take on board feedback, take it to the LPP, take on board the feedback, work in with the council meeting cycle, and that is why it's before you tonight. I've answered the question in terms of opportunities for information. I think too it's important, it's not, once it leaves Wingecarriby Shire Council, it's automatically made. There is a parliamentary process, Parliamentary Council need to take time to review it, and then it needs to be made by the Department of Planning. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Councillor Kent?
Can I propose an amendment?
Go ahead.
To move back to the original motion?
the amendment's got to be...
Sorry, the amendment's got to be debated. And may I make a procedural motion?
Sorry, what
that
amendment?
we close the meeting and reconvene tomorrow?
I'm just going to clarify this. We've got 2 minutes. We are not in an amendment.
Okay, well, I may move a procedural
We're in
motion.
a motion.
That we,
Councillor Kent wanted to move an amendment,
yeah, and
and I
I,
said yes to that.
and I've just moved a procedural motion to ask that, given that it is now 7:58,
Yeah. I don't think it
And-
needs to be procedural. I'm happy to adjourn till 9 a.m. tomorrow morning because
Thank
we've
you.
bumped into the time. And I note that when we kick off, we'll kick off with Councillor Kent's amendment in the morning.
Sorry, Mr Mayor, we haven't debated my amendment yet. We haven't put
You
it
can
to the
still move
vote.
that tomorrow. No, you're
So we can't jump to an
sorry.
amendment.
So
We haven't
Councillor
gone
Nolan,
through
you
mine.
You rescinded your amendment. You withdrew it.
That was to add a final point,
You
but not the
withdrew-
whole
So you
amendment.
withdrew your amendment, and then you moved an amendment that I couldn't accept because it was in breach of legislation.
But that doesn't invalidate all the rest of
Of
it.
course it does. You rescinded it. And with that, I'll close the meeting.